Hello indie game fans, these hidden gems are seriously flying under the radar, so I'm hoping to give them a boost, beginning with Final Vendetta, a pixel art beat 'em up that is a loving tribute to the classics. This is about as retro as it can get, where one of the main characters is going after a criminal gang to rescue her kidnapped sister, enlisting the help of a bare-knuckled brawler and a retired pro wrestler in order to do so. You know the drill by now, fans of Final Fight and Streets of Rage will feel right at home, but even if you did not play those, this is a classically designed title worth a look. The dominance of games like Vampire Survivors continues with Project Lazarus, one where you're piloting a mech instead, which fits in very nicely with the upgrade systems. The core of these games is making you feel unstoppable with overpowered builds, of which you can certainly do so here, and with a low price point, no harm checking this out. Summer Eterna is the prequel to the dark fantasy Metroidvania Eterna Noctis from December 2021, where you play as the King of Darkness before his fall from grace, exploring and fighting your way through the world. This is an action-packed roguelike platformer, where the developers have done something clever by reusing some assets from the original game to make another product that generates revenue for them, while still being strong enough to stand on its own. There are plenty of upgrades and unlocks, but in typical roguelite fashion, it's an early access release, but I do think it's pretty good so far. I don't usually encourage developers to surprise release their games during presentations and events, but Lumberjack did just that in June, which may have been to its detriment. This is an exploration puzzle title with an environmentalist theme, where you play as a bear with an axe, destroying buildings and machines that are polluting the environment, with enough variety in mechanics to keep things interesting.
Chaos.
The boomer shooter comes in many forms, where a criminally overlooked game is Hands of Necromancy, one that mixes melee and ranged combat, where you play as the evil necromancer with the ability to transform into your enemies. The action is top-notch with a fantastic retro look, where it does have Metroidvania elements in abilities that allow you to access new areas and looks very much inspired by HeXen and Heretic. Underwater Limbo basically describes Silt, a monochrome puzzle platformer in quotes that has a wonderful, foreboding atmosphere, where your ability to possess other creatures is key to the puzzles. The underwater setting alone is terrifying to some people, and add to that the dangerous spikes and horrific monsters, and you have a very tense experience worth a play. I just talked about Into the Breach, where Mech Armada is similar but in 3D, and while I still prefer Into the Breach, the mech customization options in this roguelike tactics game gives it a different flavour. There are some balancing issues with combat that needs tweaking, as well as the speed at which you get new upgrades, so I'm hoping that developers take the feedback to heart and patch this down the line. The definition of a hidden gem is Tiny Folks, a turn-based RPG with a very minimal look, where you're recruiting the townsfolk to aid you in battle against monsters. It has a very compelling gameplay loop since you get to upgrade your town after every expedition, which unlocks even more options, so don't be put off by the look and give this a go. I love the GBA as a platform, which is why Margo got my attention, a game that certainly looks to be paying tribute to that era in games, being a side-scrolling action platformer with a ton of variety. It's not the most innovative or novel title, but is very well made, taking inspiration from the greats in the genre, where impressively, this is the product of a YouTuber, which is pretty amazing to me. Soldiers, the game that could have been. This gorgeous pixel art Metroidvania had balancing issues at launch, but the developers are responsive, with the latest patch releasing on the 15th of July, so I will revisit this at a later date. So it is good but didn't quite make the cut in this video on the best Metroidvanias.